Tips for good bullet tracers. This one here is just two perpendicular planes with a very simple shader that makes one end fade and taper off into a nice tail. This tracer is actually one that I used in this short, which is actually just the muzzle flash asset we created, but without the front-facing planes. All the tracers I've shown here are super simple, and you should experiment yourself with different shaders and shapes to create a tracer that suits your weapon or art style. Keep in mind that motion blur heavily affects how the tracer will appear in your render, and that different art styles of tracers sometimes could benefit from having no motion blur. Sometimes if the motion blur is too high, you might not see a difference between using a tracer with a custom shader versus just using a glowing cube. The choice of tracer and the amount of motion blur all depends on your scene. If you have a very chaotic scene and you want the motion blur to emphasize that, then you can get away with using cubes as your tracers. On the other hand, if you have a scene where you aren't using as much motion blur, maybe to draw emphasis to details or to make a shot appear less shaky, that's where you would use tracers with more detail.